Hey everybody, Professor Snart here, just checking in. Okay, last week of our class, hard to believe. Maybe good news for some people, bad news for others. But here it is. It feels like I was just doing the welcome, a few weeks ago, but it really flies by. Which means that Essay 1 is complete, obviously. Essay 2, which is really the revision of Essay 1 and integrating a secondary source, is complete. And now we're looking at basically the last units, 9, 10, and 11, obviously all happening this week. But they are all basically steps in the final essay process. So the major reading that we're doing right now is Death of a Salesman. And every unit still has a due date. So for example, Unit 9 is a final essay topic, which is due Tuesday. And you can read the details, and there's discussion board stuff, the usual kinds of material. But I also understand that because we're in a compressed time period, what you provide to me for that due date, and we still have to follow the due dates, but what you provide as your final essay topic is really going to be still under construction, obviously, even by Tuesday. So what you might find is that you have a basic topic idea, hopefully, that you're submitting for Unit 9, but you're going to refine that into a more particular thesis. It might change a little bit as you do the actual writing of the paper. It might even change a lot if you discover that it just isn't working, or if you stumble onto something more interesting as you're doing the sort of the writing process of it. So we follow the due dates, we work through the units as we keep going here, but we also keep in mind that we're working towards that final essay as a process. So again, things might change. You may find different sources, change your topic a little bit, whatever the case might be. The primary thing to remember is to keep kind of in contact with me as we move to this final essay. So if you have questions, if you do change your topic, if you want to confirm that a source is appropriate, anything like that, you don't want to just plug forward and then find out too late that the topic isn't going to work, that you have inappropriate sources, or whatever the case might be. So keeping in touch with me as we get to the end of the course is really, really crucial. I'm also going to highlight the final essay assignment here, which is in Unit 9, even though, of course, the essay itself isn't due until the end of our class, Unit 11, a whole week away. But the components, getting them correct, are crucial, or the secondary source requirements, I should say. So you have 4 secondary sources. So a secondary source is not a primary source. If you discuss, let's say, Alice Munro's Boys and Girls and Death of a Salesman, there you see some connection, maybe gender roles, I don't know, whatever it might be. Those are 2 primary texts, so they don't count as a secondary source. So you need 4 secondary sources, at least 1 book source, which is probably just going to be something that you check out of the library. So you would do like a subject searched by maybe Death of a Salesman. So you won't find the actual play, you'll find discussions of the play, which is what we're looking for. Remember, we're not looking for sources that discuss kind of general ideas like, salesmanship or whatever it might be. We're looking for discussions of the primary, the literary texts that we're discussing, the short story, the play, whatever it happens to be. You need at least 1 database source. Those are easy to find. We've done that in previous units already. And then the other 2 sources can be your choice. Probably for most people, they're going to be database sources. Again, it doesn't mean that you can just Google stuff now. It still has to be an appropriate source. And I can't stress enough, which I've done already, that final papers for English 1102 that use inappropriate sources, that cite incorrectly in the text, or that have works cited that aren't formatted overall correctly, or each individual entry is all messed up, that paper is unlikely to receive a passing grade, and because that paper counts so much for our class, you are unlikely to pass the class if you really bomb that last essay because you've screwed up the research component. This is the research class, so that aspect of writing the paper takes on a heightened importance. That's why I'm stressing it now again, stressing it within the class. There's just no reason to, honestly, to screw that up at this point. And of course, if you have questions, by all means, ask me. Don't hope for the best. That's the worst you can do. So those are the source requirements. They're written right here. Read them carefully. If you want to double check with me, by all means do so. The topic guidelines. You're free to develop your own research topic along the lines of what we've already been doing. So you're not all of a sudden doing gun control, good or bad. You're doing a literary analysis still. The essays in our textbook are good examples, as I've mentioned. You've obviously written one full essay and one revision along these lines already. You're just developing your own prompt this time around. You should discuss no more than 2 primary texts, although you could just focus on one, and focusing on Death of a Salesman is an obvious choice. It's a long work, so there's lots to say about it. There's lots of interesting themes going on. There's lots of great secondary source material, so you won't get stuck looking for that material. So writing about Death of a Salesman has lots to recommend it. And again, there's just lots of themes that are happening in that play. So you may find that just focusing on the one text is good enough. You can, however, focus on 2. So you might, and they don't both have to be from our textbook, just one does, from our syllabus. So you may take Death of a Salesman and notice that the relationship between Biff and Willie, for example, is very similar to a father-son relationship. This is good Father's Day material. That you've seen in a recent movie or read in a book that's totally outside of our class. You could incorporate that outside source as another primary text. Again, it's primary text, not a secondary text. So that your options are really wide open, which actually makes getting started a little bit more difficult because you have to formulate an idea, which is all Unit 9 is all about, getting that topic idea. You have to choose the texts, so you don't have that given to you as you did for previous units. Ultimately, though, it tends to work out better because you're writing about something that was your idea, so you're hopefully a little more interested in it and making the choices yourself from start to finish. Okay, so for Unit 9, all you're doing is submitting this tentative topic idea. Obviously, I will provide feedback, maybe ask some follow-up questions, make some suggestions. Read what I send back to you. Again, there's no point in my making all the comments if you don't even look at them. There's a short quiz, which is really more about drawing your attention to some of the more interesting aspects, maybe overlooked aspects of the play. But primarily for Unit 9, which is due tomorrow, Tuesday, we're really looking just to get a basic topic idea in place. And like I said before, because of our compressed time period here, you may find that while you have a basic topic, it's actually going to change a little bit over the course of the next few days as you do the research and the actual writing of the paper. Okay, so be sure you read and understand the essay requirements. Screwing this up screws up your grade and maybe passing the class at this point. It's just that crucial. And of course, if you have questions, ask. There's no need to struggle and try to figure things out or second guess yourself. Sometimes, especially in kind of pressure situations, our brains play weird tricks and we misread things in totally ridiculous ways. And I say this because I've done it myself many times. So if you have any questions at all, please be in touch with me. I'll check in probably once or twice more before we're done, but we are home stretch here, that final paper.